I want to bring into the conversation our co-chief meteorologist Joe Furey to talk about what happened and the future as well. Joe, good to see you here.
Dennis, thank you for having me.
Those images are just absolutely heartbreaking, and to hear the first selectman talking about this, and there's really no way to predict damage like this, correct?
No, I mean, we obviously were totally surprised by this situation. Was not even a flood watch out. So, you know, we had a system coming in from the west, a digging trough that we call. We had a tremendous jet flow coming up from the south. We had a hurricane going out to the east. Now, 40 years ago, right now, I was with Dr. Mel Goldstein, and he would talk about hurricanes going out to the east and the influence they can have on fronts coming in from the west. And so the hurricane and the lower to the west causes an enhanced jet flow. We had convergence. If you look at the radar, it was simply just a batch of rain that stuck, stayed, was kind of waiting for the hurricane to go by. And when you talk about, you know, we got 3 reports out of Oxford, 13 and a half, 14 inches, almost 15 inches of rain.
It's more than a foot.
And that's happening in a half a day, not a full day.
So when you get that much rain, it creates a scene like this because the drains just can't take it, the rivers overflow. Is that what happens?
Well, yeah, but you can't, you know, when we talk about, say we're going to have 2 to 4 inches of rain, and by the way, we had computer models that had no idea this was happening. National Weather Service did not have a flood watch out. So when I say a surprise, it was a surprise of epic proportions. Because if you're talking about 2 to 4 inches of rain, that's a drop in the bucket compared to what happened here. Keep in mind, last July we had the wettest July on record. 14 inches of rain. That fell over an entire month. Yeah. When you have something like this fall over the course of 12 hours, that's unprecedented. It is something, obviously, I've never seen in 40 years doing this. And the term of a 1 in 1,000 year event means there's 0.1% chance this would happen on any day. Extremely unique. Half the state had nothing going on while this was happening in Oxford.
We've seen this in other parts of the country. Just the force of the floodwaters just rips open roads, correct?
Flooding is the second killer. Second most people get killed every year by flooding behind heat waves. So flooding, of course, can be an association with a tropical storm or hurricane. So have something like this happen without it being a tropical system is just, it's mind-boggling. And when we look at the different things that are going on around the world, the Honga Tonga volcano, look that up. January 2022, it added 10% more water vapor into the entire atmosphere. Okay, the water temperature is extremely warm. The dynamics that are crazy, so the extremes are getting worse. So bigger extremes, we end up with situations like this.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because climate change and the elected officials, the governor, everyone says we're going to have more rain events like this.
I like to call it climate challenge, because we have, you know, the change has been happening for the last 100+ years. We were once warmer than we are now. Then we went into a little ice age. Then we've been coming back out of that, and we've been a warming planet. There's no doubt about that. More water vapor in the atmosphere. You have setups like this one. Extreme micro scale event. Okay, so you go over to a place like Glastonbury, they had 1.2 inches of rain. Bridgeport and Litchfield, 20 miles either side of Oxford, while it was coming down and dropping 14 inches of rain, Bridgeport and Litchfield had 1 inch.
And it really is changing the way that towns rebuild. You look at East Haven, for example, a lot of the newer homes there in Old Saybrook, they're on stilts now because they have to be.
We have to be, yeah.
What's the advice for people in Oxford as they rebuild? Because obviously you don't want to build a house next to a river again.
Well, I think the first selectman said we're going to come back better than ever, but there are going to be a number of things that are going to have to be assessed and looked at. Maybe the Army Corps of Engineers in.
Sure.
But as first selectman said, you know, the little river. Not so little when you get this much rain. And so the idea is that planning out and heading forward with a setup that's going to keep you maybe out of this, but you can't get 14 inches of rain in 10 hours and not have a major impact. And we saw what happened here.
Joe Furey, we appreciate your insight on this. Keep up the great work.
Thanks, sir.
Next, meet the man behind the booming voice at many local games.